Hello and welcome to Shought Thorts, the bite-sized interview show where I ask your favourite people in the gaming industry a bunch of somewhat silly questions. My name's DC Bradshaw and my guest today is A Ghost of Eli. Thanks for joining me.
Hello.
All right then, here we go. Question one. For those who don't know you, could you please describe the creative thing or things you do, but only using words of one syllable?
Whew. I would say it's sound, um, ghosts, and I guess it's two words, but sad things.
Each of them's one syllable, that's perfectly fine. Tricky's question is done. Everything is even sillier from
Ooh,
here on out.
bless.
So, question two. If you were a pirate captain, what would be the name of your ship?
I have potentially two. But I think one leans more to the other because I run a seafaring D&D game or homebrew world and things like that. So I would say it's either got to be the Rusty Eel or the Saffron Serpent, but I'm leaning more towards the Saffron Serpent because I just feel like it's just very eloquent
Hmm.
and just it gets to the point. Um and it gives a little bit more whimsy than the Rusty Eel, but either one of those.
Both are good. I'm getting kind of a different sort of class from each one. Like,
Right?
Saffron Shepherd does sound, a little bit more polished, but the Rusty Eel sounds like, that's my backup ship when the other one's not working.
Yeah.
Or I'll go into the seedier ports with that one.
Yes, 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 yes. Who's to say you can't change your name of your ship wherever you go? So, maybe it's just
I mean, like a sign on the front that you flip
you
around.
just flip over away depending on what port you're landing in.
Marvelous.
Makes it easier.
Love it. Yeah, that works. That works. What's your favorite just mindless fun popcorn movie?
Ooh, man, that's a tough one because I live for putting a movie in the background while I do everything and anything.
Hmm.
Um, I would definitely say Jurassic Park, but I would end up just like be like there watching it the entire time. But I will put it on no matter what if I needed something in the background. That or 1996 Twister with Bill Paxton and
Hmm.
yeah, it's a tornado movie.
Yes, it is
It's amazing.
brilliant.
Yeah. Just a just a ragtag group of storm chasers chasing tornadoes and doing that for, like, an hour and a half, like, that's everything.
I think that mid-90s disaster movie fix, there's some good stuff in there that exactly falls into that
Oh,
category. Between that,
yes.
the like Dante's Peak with the volcano films, Armageddon.
Yes, and Volcano f with Tommy Lee Jones in it, just
Yeah.
like volcano decimating Los Angeles just out of nowhere. Ugh,
Mhm.
the 90s and the early 2000s with their disaster movies were the best movies you could ever hope for. Um I haven't found one in the more recent years that quite hits the same as some of those.
No, I think they try and go more bombastic and it doesn't quite work. I think maybe it's something about the fact that inevitably it's just like, well, that's just lots and lots of CGI. It's pixels destroying more pixels.
Yeah.
There's something nice when it was like, oh, that looks like they blew up a little model town or something, or that's some clever thing they've done with floaty things being
Yes.
lava. I think that adds something to the charm of them.
Yes, no, exactly. I totally understand, yeah. Less green screen, more more running from actual things in front of your face. Yeah, everything is about that.
Question four. If you could have a miniature version of a mythological or fantasy creature as a pet, what would it be?
Maybe a flump, those silly from D for
It's a
D&D,
great shout.
just just a little silly guy with you, something that not inherently harmless, but just, just with you, just, just chilling. Like you would want to see that just floating around, like you're having a bad day and you just come home to just a silly guy. The world can't be that bad if you're coming home to something just a little music, a little whimsical.
What's your favorite swear word or phrase that's not actually swearing?
I would say ew
Hmm.
is mine. I think there's something it's very simple, but it depending on the tone in which you give it,
Yes.
just can like accumulate just the amount of like disgust or or feeling towards it, no matter what you do, describing an action or something you said, just a little ugh. like an ill kind of just like can capture all of that without having to escalate it to swearing.
Yeah, I just thinking it through in my head, I think the number of different ways you could say such a simple word, and then the length of it as well. You
Yeah.
can definitely go on a journey that can mean so many different things.
Yes. Yeah. That's the whole point of it. As long as you can convey the emotion,
Mhm.
ill.
If you had to sing a Disney song at karaoke, what would you choose?
I think it has to maybe Make a Man Out of You by Milan.
Mm.
I think that's yeah, that's probably one of my favorite songs from Mulan during their entire little warrior montage. Becoming becoming the man you want to be. Um, be swift as a coursing river,
Yeah.
Oh. So I think definitely be a man.
Question seven, then. If you could have a magical item to make your day-to-day life just a little bit easier, what would it be?
I feel like a ring of teleportation or something like that. Something that can get me from point A to point B because I don't drive in my day-to-day life. I take public transportation. So if I could speed up
Yeah.
from getting from point A to point B, that would just make my life just so much easier, so much simpler. So like yeah, even ring of transportation or like a magic broom or something like that. Any type of any type of object that can get me from one place to another as fast as possible. I think that's the magic item for me.
Anything in that area is certainly the most popular answer so far. I think there's the inconvenience of travel, both long and short distances, I think is definitely a bugbear.
Yes.
But I do like the shout of broom. I think a lot of people have gone for the, click your fingers, magic ring, maybe a portal or something. But I like the old school nature of a broom.
We need to get back to the classics, especially since like being a witch in general has reclaimed
That's
itself
true.
in amongst popular culture. Why not bring back some more of those standard iconography and just make it a part of our day-to-day lives?
Potentially going a little bit more serious, or not, who knows? What's a book that you think everyone should read?
I think the one book that kept coming up when I was thinking about this question was The Tao of Winnie the Pooh.
Okay.
It's a really great book that explains the Eastern concepts of Taoism through the Winnie the Pooh characters.
Yeah.
And it's just a really interesting philosophical kind of book that correlates something to most people's like childhood,
Hmm.
and being able to explain some of these really great concepts of ideology in a just a more mindful, easier way to kind of connect it. And it was a book that I read that it was a part of my like literature class in high school. That was a part of something we had to read for a course, and it's one of those books that's kind of stuck with me along the way.
Mm.
And it's some really just interesting ideas if you're looking to look at different perspective on how to live or how you want to be. And it's Winnie the Pooh. You can't go wrong with
Yeah.
Pooh Bear and all of that stuff. But yeah, I would say maybe give that a try if you're looking for some just general enlightenment or opportunity to look at it something in a different perspective.
No, it's really good. Not one I've heard of. I mean, I've heard of a couple of similar sorts of things, the kind of, make in theory quite a potentially intimidating topic, a little bit more accessible. I've not heard of that specific one, but that's wonderful.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'll have to pick that up. Also, kudos being the second person to suggest something not quite that same area. B. Dave Walters suggested the Meditations by Marcus Aurelius. So I think there's definitely
Oh, hell yeah.
some not quite self-help, but self-improvement journeys.
Totally.
So well done.
Absolutely.
You're in a wonderful little club there.
Hell yeah.
Question nine. What's the creative thing you've made or done that you're most proud of?
I mean, wow. I've done a lot of cool stuff, and I'm always generally proud of anything that I put out because, like, I think just the act of completing something creative
Mm.
is something that you should always celebrate, even if you feel like more could be done with something. I think like the act of doing is more important sometimes than the end result of things. But maybe I would say that the current AP project that I've been working on for the last 4 years with this group has been some of the most proudest things I've made recently. It's called Delta Green Doomed to Repeat. We've been able to edit it down, and I'm a sound engineer by trade, so I've been able to put like a bunch of sound design and music into it. It's become just a really beautiful opportunity for me to just put all of my creative efforts into one thing, and also to be able to share it with amazing people that I've gotten an opportunity to create with over the last 4 years, which I think is like the best joy you can get sometimes, is when you find equal-mindedly creative individuals that want to share with you in the same thing, and work with you through the whole entire process with just the same amount of passion as you're willing to put into something. And what we've been able to like make out of it has been just a joy to do in general. So I would say that's probably the proudest thing I've made, because more so that I've been able to cultivate a really amazing creative space with other people in the process of doing that. And now I have a hub where I can be free to like share an idea and then have people who are equally excited about that idea and want to like work with me to make that possible. I feel sometimes we don't often get that, but it's a joy and, and an honor to have it when you are able to find it.
I 100% agree. I think that's something that's kind of so wonderful about tabletop RPGs.
Hell yeah.
And everything that spins off of it. It comes back to that kind of safe space type thing. So often, alas, we lose the creativity and the willingness to potentially share creativity with each other without worrying about consequences. We lose that at some point along the journey of growing up. People go, oh, I'd love to write a book, but what if someone didn't like it? Or, oh, if I write it down, then maybe it's not good. And when it's in my head, it's fine. Or I don't want to show people my drawings or my music or whatever. So
Mhm.
it's really nice that, we are creating these communities where it's like, we just want to be creative together and explore that and build off of each other. I would love to have like a creative retreat or something. The notion of, I don't know, renting like a giant Airbnb, like, I don't know, by a Scottish loch or something like that, and saying, right, over the weekend, right, we're going to be writing and drawing and stuff during the day, and we'll play games in the evening and just bounce off of each other. That
Hell,
would be wonderful.
you just kind of need it, because like creation is a collaborative thing, in the same, like
Yeah,
especially storytelling is a collaborative thing. So when you get multiple people being able to resonate with that, you can shape and shape, you can make anything. Everything is possible.
exactly.
And I think that's one of the like the main things, like you were saying, that like having just a group of people who are excited, that's what makes TTRPG so good, is that collaborative energy and passion that comes together to do that.
Okay, bringing this home. So, finally, could you please give us your favorite inoffensive, groan-worthy dad joke?
Why did the egg have a day off?
I don't know.
Because it was a Friday. It hurts
Oh,
me. It hurts me just as much as it hurts you.
bravo,
Thank
bravo.
you.
I thought that was going to be the I think it's like Aaron Sorkin's favorite joke. Why do you only have one egg for breakfast? Because it's enough. I thought that was going to be the punchline you go for. I think you caught me with Friday. Love it. Love it. And that's it. So thank you so much for your time.
Of course.
If folks have enjoyed these insights into the brain of A Ghost of Eli, where can they find you on the internet?
Well, you can find me at a Ghost of Eli. I am that is my general handle for everything that I do outside of TTRPG streaming. So I do a lot of writing. I'm a creative audio professional. I just like to cultivate space on the internet amongst peers in the TTRPG space. So if you like all of those things, you can always find me there at A Ghost of Eli. But I also am the resident ghost of Mayday Roleplay. We're an AP content creation team where we make sad and wonderful APs from our favorite games we like to play, including Vampire the Masquerade, Delta Green, any kind of horror you want to get into. We're probably playing it in some capacity. So just come over and hang out with us there, and we'll be telling you awesome, sad stories.
Sounds good. Sounds good. I would heartily recommend that everyone check that out. And thank you out there for watching and or listening to this. I'm DC Bradshaw, and this has been Short Thoughts with A Ghost of Eli. Hope you have an amazing day. Take care.